Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sally Watts. I'm going to start today with a different way. I want to talk about land acknowledgement. It's a traditional custom dating back centuries for many native communities and nations. For non-indigenous communities like FOOF, land acknowledgement is a powerful way of showing respect and honoring the indigenous peoples of the land on which we work and live. Acknowledgement is a simple way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and working towards honoring and inviting the truth. I take this moment in observance of Earth Day to acknowledge that we stand on traditional land of the first people of Florence, the Sayusla Indians, past, present, and future. And we honor with gratitude the land itself and the confederated tribes of the Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Sayusla Indians. We're going to start this morning by singing our peace song. Oh, no, we're going to start with Spirit of Life. We're not done yet, right? We're just starting. Tuvia is going to come forth and lead us in Spirit of Life. Tuvia? Would you folks like to join?
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And Sally, I loved your introduction because we need to give credit to the people that were here first.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, the rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me. Come to me. Come to me. Come to me.
Very nice, Tuvia. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So, here we are. Today's program is chock full of music, readings, facts, and yes, figures, science, and more music. We all need to thank Tuvia for his vision of this program today, and heartfelt thanks to Jay Gutler, who pulled it all together in magnificent style. This is a way of creating a very special Earth Day observation, which actually lasts all month long. Next week, we're delighted to have Dean Schrock with us. I just got his summary, and it sounds like a wonderful program. It's all centered around story. So we will look forward to seeing Dean next week. Are there any other announcements from anybody else? I didn't receive any. We've got our Zoom call today on Sunday, right, at 5 o'clock. Hope you'll join us. We can talk about Earth Day. We can talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, okay? So Zoom at 5 o'clock. And if there's no other announcements, I'm going to invite Raymond to come forward to light our flame here, as maybe you light your candle at home. I offer these words from Paul's preacher called For the Web of Life. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery. Just love that. So Catherine Hemmons is gone for just a short while, and in her absence, I invite Xana Robertson to come forward to share our joys, our concerns, and our sorrows. Xana?
Thank you, Sally. Good morning. This is the time of our service for joys and concerns. In this community, we believe that it is important to acknowledge each other and to take care of each other. in doing so, our connections become stronger. The interconnectedness of all of us is part of the UU 7th principle. We also do this to keep in touch. And during this challenging time, we know how important that is. We feel closer to each other. And perhaps we think and find ways to help each other. Some people might not have family around, and so we become the family. We are the family. So Sally will drop a shell for each one of the joys and concerns this morning.
I'm going to drop the first one because it's big. And it's
Right.
going to float right there.
There you go. Good way to start.
Yeah.
I will share a couple of mine, and then I think Sally has a couple of joys and concerns as well. I have a good friend in Southern California. Her name is Linda, and she's probably on her way back to Vermont right now because she winters in the Palm Springs area like we used to do, and she's just been diagnosed with cancer, and I want to send all my love and intention for healing for her at this time. So I know you don't know Linda, but when we go into our musical interlude this morning, maybe you could keep her and the other people in mind, and throughout the week, when you want to send blessings and love to someone, remember who we talk about this morning, because that's what it's all about, sending them our love and good intentions.
This is for Linda.
All right, for Linda. The joy that I have, well, it's kind of a joy and a concern. Lynn Ann and her husband Ed are moving. They have sold their house. And I just saw her yesterday, and they pretty sure they have found a place, not in Wyoming where they thought they would be, but in Montana. They're still working on that. And it's a joy that they are being led to where they need to go. It's a concern for me because, I hate to lose her, really. She has been such a joy and blessing in my life and in my healing journey. I'm really going to miss her, and I know we all are. But this is for Lynn Ann and Ed as they go on their journey.
Absolutely.
Before Sally gives hers, I want to give a shout out and a joy for our healers in this community. We have so many, and I have found each one of them that I've needed. One of them in particular, harmonic healing. Kinsey Myers and her partner Michelle have been here since last summer. They're growing their business. They are naturopaths, and Kinsey has been doing acupuncture on me for several weeks now, which has been extremely helpful. Beyond that, she's just such a warm, kind, loving, spiritual soul, and it's just nurtured me in so many ways. So I want to support our small businesses in this community. And if you're led in that direction, please remember them, Harmonic Healing. And they've got a nice website. I have some of their business cards if you like. And with that, I'll put one in for Harmonic Healing. And did you put one in for Lynn Ann?
I did.
All right.
I did.
Lots of shells, lots of wonderful water.
Yeah.
I'll let Sally share hers.
So I have two sorrows. One is my dear friend that I've known since first grade. Talked to her the other day, and her husband is really struggling. His name is Jeff. He's had diabetes for the last 50 years and is undergoing too many procedures to deal with that diabetes, and is really in great pain and concern for Chris on how to be with all of this and just accept the love that we might be able to send her in healing thoughts to Jeff. So I'll drop this for Jeff and for Chris, two wonderful people. Chris is a poet. She was here a couple of years ago, and we did a private poetry reading at my house. It was so much fun. And then also another sorrow is for Judy Preisler. We reported last week that she had lung cancer, and apparently the treatment that she was undergoing did not work, and it's rapidly taking its toll. So she is on hospice, I believe, in Eugene, and my thoughts go out to Ron and to Judy and their family. Beautiful souls, all of them. You may not know Ron, but when he was at FOOF, for a long time he would come up to the podium, and his joy every single Sunday was about something about his grandkids. So this goes to you, Ron, and to Judy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sally. And yes, grandkids. It's here for grandkids, so don't even get me started on mine. So once again, keep these folks in mind as we go through the day and through the week, that we will extend love and blessings to all of them. I would like to close with a quote this morning, and it is in the theme of our wonderful Earth that we're celebrating, especially this week, this whole week. And excuse me if I don't get these names quite right. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh, A Love Letter to the Earth. Mother Earth is indeed a great bodhisattva. I hope I said that right. It's a wise one. Not only does she have the capacity to heal herself, but she can help us heal ourselves if we know how to take refuge in her. If we truly believe in the planet's power to heal herself, we know she can heal us also. We can have faith in Mother Earth because she is not an abstract idea, but something very concrete, something very real and tangible. We can feel her solidity under our feet. We can see her majesty in the high mountain peaks and lakes, in the vast blue sky, winding rivers and deep oceans. If we know how to take refuge in Mother Earth, we can experience healing through sitting, walking, or simply by breathing. We don't have to do anything at all. Just surrender ourselves to Mother Earth and she will do everything for us. We are the Earth. The Earth is us. Allow this process to happen by itself. Breathing in, Mother Earth is breathing in with us. Breathing out, Mother Earth is breathing out with us. Blessings.
Thank you, Xana. Thank you very much. Today we pause to recognize the massive environmental crisis we find ourselves in. And as the pandemic recedes, we refocus on global warming brought about by abuse and misuse of the delicately arranged environment, so beautiful in the creation and its orchestration and synthesis of life, now thrown out of balance. We hope you will think, be moved and inspired to do your share of whatever it will take to rescue this beautiful sphere. There is only one Earth and one chance. As time runs out, we are evidencing more and more dramatic changes every year. Now we have a fire season coming up. Summer heat is becoming unbearable, will be becoming unbearable. Today it's chilly. Food is getting more expensive and coastal areas are threatened by rising seas. We need to come together as a united front to save our beautiful Earth. The expression is, there is no planet B. You will notice in the order of service all those who came forth to create today's program. At this time, I invite you to sit back, relax, and reflect on Mother Earth as we pay respect to this beautiful planet we call home. The program begins with special music from Jeff Lovejoy, as well as images that will take your breath away. I thank Tuvia for pulling all this together, beautifully done, and again, Jay, for making this happen from the electronic part of you. So again, relax and enjoy.
They shut the road through the woods 70 years ago. Weather and rain have undone it again. And now you would never know there was once a road through the woods before they planted the trees. It is underneath the coppice and heath and the thin anemones. Only the keeper sees that where the ringing dove broods and the badgers roll at ease, there was once a road through the woods. Yet, if you enter the woods of a summer evening late, when the night air cools on the trout-ringed pools, where the otter whistles his mate, they fear not men in the woods, because they see so few. You will hear the beat of a horse's feet, and the swish of a skirt in the dew, steadily cantering through the misty solitudes, as though they perfectly knew the old lost road through the woods. But there is no road through the woods.
The earth turns to a new day. The earth turns. The earth turns to a new day. The earth turns. We will turn with it. We will turn with it. We will not turn away. We walk in sunshine, scattering seeds. Layers carpet the tender weeds. Shoots bow heads in falling rain. Rebirth regains sustain. Rebirth regains sustain. Together we walk, together we know that from today, tomorrow will grow. Together we walk, together we know that from today, tomorrow will grow. We walk in sunshine, scattering seeds. Layers carpet the tender weeds. Shoots bow heads in falling rain. Rebirth regains sustain. Rebirth regains sustain. Together we walk, together we know that from today, tomorrow will grow. Together we walk, together we know that from today, tomorrow will grow. The earth turns to a new day. The earth turns. The earth turns to a new day. The earth turns. We will turn with it. We will turn with it. We will not turn away.
On this Earth Day 2021, here's an update on our environmental crisis. Effects on crops, bringing higher food prices and threats of famine to undeveloped nations. Millions of homes prone to flooding due to changing weather and rising seas. Millions of lives and homes threatened by fire destruction due to drought caused by climate change. Forests are being decimated by fires which threaten biodiversity and speeds climate change, just like a tiger chasing its tail. Air temperature over ocean is increasing. Coral reefs are dying. Oceans are acidifying, affecting oceanic food sources. Lakes are drying up, bringing risk to drinking water resources to large populated areas. Arctic sea ice extent is diminishing. Rising oceans threaten coastal communities worldwide. Humidity is increasing, causing more warming. Snow cover is reduced, and snow is melting earlier. The glaciers are melting. Human survival is threatened. Jim McDermott has read Bill Gates' book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, and will share with us some important predictions. So Jim, take it away.
I'm Jim McDermott, a member of FOOF, and what I'm going to do today, along with the help of Tuvia and Carol, is to talk about climate change and what we're going to have to do in the next 30 years in order to prevent a catastrophic disaster on planet Earth. So this is Jim and Carol, and we're going to be talking about climate change as Tuvia described. Now, this fits in with UU's 7th principle. All life is interconnected. So if you read down this, you can see that we're all interconnected. All life is interconnected. And on top of that, the second part of this principle is keeping mindful that the people that climate change affects the most are the people with the least power, with the least resources, as we all know with the current pandemic. So just to remind you, greenhouse gases only represent 1% of our entire atmosphere. It's on the outside, just like a greenhouse. Sun comes in, but it doesn't escape. So it warms up your greenhouse and it warms up our Earth. And even though greenhouse gases are 3 different ones, the one we focus on the most is carbon dioxide, because that's by far the largest. And this is just a reminder that if you remember, at one time, the ozone layers and the polar ice caps were being diminished. But because we banned these chlorofluorocarbons that were in spray cans and in like Freon and the refrigerator, then actually that was one of the success stories. We were able to regenerate the ozone layers. Now, the big problem with carbon dioxide is plants photosynthesize and they release oxygen, which is good for animals. We breathe that in. And then we take the carbon dioxide and breathe that out, which then the plants use in order to make sugars and carbohydrates and so forth. So we've had this symbiotic relationship for many, many years, thousands of years, until the Industrial Revolution, when first of all we had steam engines, which were fueled by coal, and then we had the internal combustion engine, which was even more polluting. And that increased the amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that coincides with global warming. So that same curve that you saw, even though there's some jagged lines here showing there were some variations, you can see that as the carbon dioxide was released into the atmosphere, the temperature has risen. Now, the climate scientists say that if we could keep the temperature to just a 1 degree increase, which is where it is about now, then we would win. But if it goes beyond 1.5 to say to 2.0, then that comes into kind of the irreversible, and we wouldn't be able to stop it, at least with the technology that we have at this time. So, Tuvi has already told you about all the bad consequences of climate changes. As you can see, anybody who watches the news knows that we've had increases in wildfires. If you remember that what happened down in southern Oregon with those two little towns, Phoenix and Talent, between Ashland and Medford, where basically 90% of those buildings were all burned down. So it's not that we haven't had floods and we haven't had droughts, but we're now having them more intense. So we have more Category 4 and 5 storms. The sea level is rising as the South Pacific Islanders have found out that some of those islands are being flooded and are going to be uninhabitable in just a matter of years. So, again, Tuvia mentioned this about the Arctic. Now you can pretty well sell a ship all across the Arctic because so much of the ice has melted. Antarctic is a little bit better, but we're still losing huge amounts. When Karen and I were down in South America on a ship, we saw a huge glacier that had lost about 5 miles or about 8 kilometers of ice just in the last 40 years since they've been keeping records. Plus, there's a lot more damage done to the ocean as carbon dioxide. More carbon dioxide is absorbed into the ocean, making it more difficult for shells to form the calcium carbonated for their bivalves and things like that. So this used to be my simplistic way of thinking, I have to confess. I was thinking, oh yeah, all we need to do is have fewer fossil fuels, more green energy, solar or wind, take personal responsibility, put pressures on our governments to come up with policies that decrease global warming. Well, I tell you, it's a lot more complicated than that. Thank goodness for people much smarter than I am, like Bill Gates, who put it in a form that I was able to understand, and I hope that I'm able to convey that. But before I start, I just want to mention there was a UN survey. It was a huge number of people. Over 1 million people were surveyed in 52 countries, and they found that 64% of the people believe in climate change and wanting to pressure governments to pass laws to help there. But we still have 36 of the people who really don't believe that climate change is real and don't really want to do anything about it. So this book is really not for them, because Bill Gates starts with the assumption that you really believe in this. So this book was just published recently, and I'm going to read this out because Bill Gates says it a lot more clearly than I could. To stop global warming and to avoid the worst effects of climate change, humans need to stop adding greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. Now this sounds difficult because it will be. The world has never done anything like this before. Every country will need to change its ways because virtually every activity in modern life, growing things, making things, getting around from place to place, involves releasing more and more greenhouse gases. So if nothing else changes, the world will keep producing more and more greenhouse gases. Climate change will keep getting worse, and the impact on humans will well be and for more and more of these catastrophes. But things can change. He's very optimistic in this book. We already have some of the tools we need, and as for those who don't yet have everything, I've learned about climate change and technology. It makes me optimistic that we can invent them, deploy them, and if we act fast enough, avoid a climate catastrophe. So this book is all about that. All right, so Bill Gates admits that he really wasn't that interested in climate change because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was really about decreasing poverty. And trying to decrease poverty meant making the people as healthy as possible, like in areas like Asia and Africa, especially sub-Sahara Africa. So he was really trying to decrease the amount of polio, tuberculosis, and things like malaria that's carried by mosquitoes. And then he found out that what's really happening is the climate change is making everything worse. So every year, all around the globe, we produce about 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases. So the whole goal of his book is that we have to decrease this to zero, not just a little bit, but zero by 2050. So currently what's happening is we're about 1 to 2 million people are dying every year, depending on what data you look at, as a result of climate change. And if we don't do anything about it, that's going to be more like 10 to 20 million people dying every year. And when you consider just, with the pandemic, 3 to 4 million people around the world have died so far, then that kind of puts it in perspective. Now, I have to say, this was the most important data that I looked at. I had no idea that this was where the contribution from greenhouse gases were coming from, because we all watch the news, and I thought, well, it's coming from cars, and we need to have electric cars, and we need to have solar energy and things like that. If we do that, then this will be solved. What Bill Gates has done is broken it down, and you can see this is something we don't even think about. Manufacturing things, so like manufacturing beds, cars, houses, all that takes things like cement and steel, and those are huge polluters of carbon dioxide. Now, fortunately, there are some people, like there's some Canadians that are working on what happens with cement is you take limestone and you heat it up really to high temperatures in order to make the cement, but the byproduct is carbon dioxide that's released in the atmosphere. And this Canadian company is finding a way to push that carbon dioxide into the cement, which of course ends up being concrete and working with steel in order to build houses and big buildings, skyscrapers and things like that. So the ones most of us think about are the fossil fuel, that's a lot in the news, and travel, like again, electric cars. But they're pretty small compared to manufacturing, growing food, as well as a small amount for air conditioning and keeping our homes and buildings either cool in the summer or warm in the winter. So just to give you an example of this, he says that in order to do this, it's going to cost us, and he gives us one example. So the green premium is the amount of money we're going to have to pay extra in order to get clean energy. And the example here of jet fuel, which costs about $2.20 per gallon. Now, if you use biofuel, which is clean, the price jumps up to $5.35. So the green premium for this would be $3.15. So unless you're Bill Gates and you're willing to pay that extra money, it's not going to happen. And until you get these approximately equal, no congressperson is going to stand up and try to pass a bill saying that all the airlines have to use biofuels. This is just not going to happen politically. So that's why it's so important, all these technologies working on getting the green premium down to a point that it's actually affordable and politically feasible as well. Here's another important one. We all talk about the amount of gas if we only had electric cars, but the amount of oil is really not that much compared to coal. Coal really is what is firing the generators to produce electricity, especially in places like China. By the way, China is the biggest polluter of greenhouse gases, but the United States is the biggest polluter per capita. And right now, of course, as you know, China's undergoing a huge expansion in the size of their cities to take care of that huge population they have. So the dirty energy is all this, which is almost 2/3 of all the energy we're using right now. These are the green energy which we really need to expand. So renewables like solar energy and wind energy. And that's proven. Like, for example, in Scotland, they're completely green now. All their electricity comes from wind. They've got all that up in the wind up in the North Sea that's continual. And so but the trouble with these is we have to find ways to store the energy when the sun's not out and to store the wind energy when the wind turbines aren't turning. Nuclear energy, of course, is scary, especially after Chernobyl and all the rest of the disasters, 3 Mile Island, things like that. And what happens there is it's dangerous because we have these cores that have to be cooled off, and they want to expand, they want to explode if there's an outlet. And so that's what happened in Chernobyl. But they're coming up with, instead of using water to cool these rods, to use another chemical that's less dangerous and will trap the waste nuclear energy so it's not dangerous. The last one is hydropower. When I lived in New Zealand, they have the mountains on the South Island, so there were a lot of hydropower there. But now they've come up with a way of, when you're in a place that doesn't have mountains like that, of pumping the water up and then letting it come down. That turns the turbines into the generator generate the electricity. So again, we are coming up with some solutions, but more is needed here. And we have to come up with ways of decreasing this. So Bill Gates says the government policies really matter. We have to do this not only on a national level, but on a global level. Let science guide our efforts. Now, we've certainly found that out with the pandemic when we don't follow science. Meet the needs of the hardest hit. And again, the pandemic is a good example of that, where we're not getting enough vaccines to the poorer countries. And the last one, research and development. And a lot of companies say, oh yeah, we do a lot of research and development, but in fact they don't. Even though I don't like using Prime Minister Modi of India as an example, oh, he's not a particular character I like, but in the 2015 summit, he came up with a plan of forcing all the corporations to include a certain amount of research and development as part of their budgets. And so this is kind of coming to the end now. Here are the technologies that Bill Gates think we have to do. In order to make electric cars, we have to produce hydrogen, but without emitting carbon, which I don't really understand that completely, but it's evidently difficult to do. We have to have a grid scale like electricity stored for months, as the people down in Texas find out when you didn't do that. Electrofuels and biofuels that we mentioned before. Zero carbon cement and steel and fertilizer. Now these are the really difficult ones, because if you use a green friendly cement, it doubles the price. So until we come up with a better technology for that with cement and steel, that's probably not going to happen. Fertilizer is basically nitrogen. So we put nitrogen back into the soil. But there's a way to have the micro bacteria actually produce the nitrogen as well. And so there's research on that. Plant-based meats, like right now Impossible Burgers and Beyond Burgers, things like that. You know, they're getting very close. I'm a vegetarian, so I don't know how close they are to meat, but people tell me that they're getting close to the point where they're indistinguishable. Zero carbon plastics, geothermal energy. Again, in New Zealand, they had a lot of geothermal energy, trapping that hot steam that comes up, making it into electricity. Drought and flood resistant food crops, because there've always been these droughts anyway, and we need to come up with crops that are tolerate that, or flooding as well. And zero carbon alternative to palm oil. Palm oil was one of the things they planted a lot in the Amazon because it's cheaper, and palm oil, as you know, is not as good as some of the vegetable oils, and it was used for a lot of times in the fast food places until pressure was put on them to back away from that. And by the way, you may have seen this in the news, for the first time ever, the Amazon forest is producing more carbon dioxide than the oxygen that it's giving out. We used to call the Amazon jungle the lungs of the earth, and so that really is no longer true. And then pollutants, not using these chlorofluorocarbon gases. And then the very last sentence, I just copied it down like this because he mentions there's three things that have to be balanced out in order to reach our goal of zero green gas emissions by 2050. And that is spend the next decade focusing on the technologies, the policies, and the markets that will eliminate greenhouse gases by 2050. And he's really pretty optimistic. Of course, he's a wonk and a nerd, and he understands all this. But if somebody that smart really thinks that we can get there, I also tend to think that we can achieve this goal to avoid this disaster of a climate change. Thank you. And thank you, Carol. Today we are fortunate to be able to have an artist, a local artist, Carol Lorraine, and she's going to talk about a painting and give us a blessing for the earth. Thank you, Carol.
Sound of our heartbeat as we connect with Mother Earth and her heartbeat. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Mother Earth, to thee we raise this our song of grateful praise. Hello, I'm Carol Lorraine. I'm an artist and a new resident here in Florence. I am so happy to be in this beautiful place and to have met the people here in your wonderful church and community, your fellowship. I'm here today to share one of my paintings and to say a blessing for our Mother Earth. This is a painting that I did of Mother Earth in all of her glory, her nurturing energy, her color, and all of the life that she brings to us, all of the nurturing. She's looking inward. She's in prayer. The Navajos have a blessing that they call walking the beauty way. The beauty way is the same as the spiritual way. So walking the beauty path is walking the spiritual path. I'd like to share a song and a blessing that I've learned from them. Now I walk in beauty. Beauty is before me. Beauty is behind me. Beauty is above me and below me beauty is within me. I walk with beauty. Today I will walk out. My words will be beautiful. My thoughts and actions will be beautiful. Through the returning seasons, the day and the night, I walk with singing in my heart. May we all open to the wonder and awe of the Creator's creation, in the beauty of the sunrise and the sunsets, in the gentle breezes and the howling winds, in the majestic mountains and the mysterious depths of the sea, in the magic of the forests. May we walk with beauty. Now we walk in beauty all day long. May we walk in the quiet, in the wisdom of the mountains. May we walk in reverence, with respect and gratitude. May we walk in the beauty that surrounds us. All of creation is beauty. Now I walk in beauty. Beauty is before me. Beauty is behind me, above and below me. Beauty is within us all, and so it is.
O Lord, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart. Eli, Eli, shelo yigameh le'olam, hacho v'hayam, rishru shel hamayim, berak hashamayim, tfilat ha'adam, hacho v'hayam, rishru shel hamayim, berak hashamayim, tfilat ha'adam.
3. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. There must be a fourth R, because when you reduce, reuse, recycle, what happens?
Julia, look behind you.
Oh my gosh! You restore! And this is a store that is called the Restore. Whoa! Well, what's going on here? Can you show us around?
Come on in and we'll show you around.
Oh my gosh, this is kind of neat. There you go. So Floyd, and this is Ivy. Can you give us like a little rundown of what is here at the Restore, and because it looks like a lot of stuff that people could use.
Yeah, sure thing. We carry a lot of stuff needed to restore your home, from doors to hardware to tools, plumbing, electrical, toilets, appliances, lumber. We carry a lot.
Yeah.
We also-
Everybody uses toilets.
Yes, yes.
We also have furniture and home decor, because it's not a home until you make it personal, right?
Right.
So we take donations in from all over, from everybody in the area. So
And when somebody buys from the Restore, it doesn't have to be remanufactured. Is that part of the deal?
Right.
correct.
We're reusing.
We're reusing what other people have donated to us. So somebody might just buy more stuff than they need. So they donate the rest of it to us. So sometimes you're not buying used stuff. Sometimes you're buying stuff that's brand new. It just never got used. So
I have another question. Is there, some people might be eligible for tax, some kind of a tax refund or credit. Could you kind of explain that a little bit when they bring something here?
we actually supply a tax receipt that people can use for their taxes. Some people can use them. We have no idea who, but we definitely have a receipt for anybody who does donations.
You know, everybody's so friendly here, and I just wanted to ask, if somebody wanted to volunteer here, could they do that?
We are always looking for volunteers. We have lots of opportunities available, even in the office. So if someone is looking to get out, make some friends, and spend some time doing something worthwhile, this is a great place to be.
Well, you know something? Isn't this amazing? Thank you, guys. And by the way, I would like to invite everybody that's watching, everybody at FOOF and everybody in the community, come to the Restore. It's a good thing to do for the environment and benefit at the same time. Thank you so much. Thank you,
bet.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Fixing the world, Tikkun Olam, making a way for generations to come. Fixing the world, Tikkun Olam, Avodah Shelanu Le'kulam. Once the world was perfect, a vessel was complete. Now it lies in ruin, shattered at our feet. The lion hell was scattered all throughout the land. Our world cannot be perfect until we all lend a hand. Fixing the world. Making a way for generations to come. Fixing the world, Tikkun Olam, Avodah Shelanu Le'kulam. God said unto Noah, this is planet Earth. I have had enough of floods. It's time for life's rebirth. This world will be the last one. There won't be any more. The task is mine. Tikkun Olam, Tani L'Gadol. Fixing the world, Tikkun Olam, making a way for generations to come. Fixing the world, Tikkun Olam, Avodah Shelanu Le'kulam, Avodah Shelanu Le'kulam.
service together and get all the pieces, parts, and then the second time, just to enjoy the work that went into this. And Jim McDermott, oh my gosh, with your flip charts, babe, you are one awesome dude. So anybody who wants to talk to anyone about facts and science and figures, go talk to Jim McDermott. Thank you very much, Jim. I know that was a great deal of work. And Carol, love your blessing. Mark, your singing. Tuvia, your singing. Jeff Lovejoy, your music. And Tuvia putting all those images together. I mean, it was just purely very, very special. This will be a program we can be very proud of for future as well. Thank you. So, Florence Food Share. Tremendously good and helpful and useful and viable and important organization here in town. And, you know, they're providing food for not only humans, but for pets as well. They've got a community garden. You can go pluck fresh vegetables and produce as much as you want. And, you know, if you're of a means and you would like to make a financial contribution to Florence Food Share, we encourage you to do that. Either do it directly, which is fine, or you can send us a check to FOOF, P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439. We accept funds from any of our listening viewers, wherever you may live. And yeah, or you can click the donate button on our website, and you can designate how much you would like to give to Florence Food Share and how much you would like to give to FOOF, because we certainly appreciate your contributions as well. So 2 opportunities for giving. And as we move forward with this offertory here and with you at home, I invite you to repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So I invite Rena to come back up. We're going to extinguish the flame here as you extinguish your flame at home. These words are from somebody in the hymnal. I don't have the name, but I'm just going to read it, okay? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for being with us today, and with appreciation to those who came together to create this Earth Day program. Perhaps you will be motivated to roll up your sleeves and join in the cause of survival. You know, Laurel Bay Gardens is selling little starter coastal redwoods. $20, they're this big. The funds go to Boys and Girls Club, and you can have your own little redwood tree in your own yard. Get as many as you want, and they're little, but they'll get big in a very short period of time. So that's one way you can support the earth. But summing up things with just 10 one-syllable words. If it is to be, it is up to me. We've heard the cliche, it takes a village. But here at FOOF, we do it even better because we are family. Thank you, dear friends, and thank you, Tuvia, for your vision and a very special Sunday observance of our planet. I invite Tuvia back up again. We're going to close with our peace song, since we didn't open with it, since we opened with Spirit of Life. Come on back up, Tuvia. Let's sing Spirit of Life. There we go again. Peace song.
And just a reminder, everybody, please get your shots. We are so looking forward to coming back together again as one happy family.
Yes.
Family, all are we.
Let there be peace. Let there be peace on earth.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Earth Day. See you at 5 o'clock on Zoom.